I can almost when you said it, I can almost remember, you know, where I was sitting when I realized that I had to take 100% responsibility for everything that has happened in my money world to date and going forward.
You need to recognize that you like buying boots. It's okay. Everyone has a thing. Everyone, and just
Mm.
be okay with your thing and be communicated.
Divorce can be emotionally and financially overwhelming. That's why I'm teaming up with Sunny Wishart, president and founder of A La Carte Financial and a certified financial planner. We will show you how to understand all things money without feeling ashamed, overwhelmed, embarrassed. You will learn more, ask questions. No question is a dumb question. Welcome to Money with Sunny. Let's get into it.
If you want to learn how to invest money, save money, make more money, budget, understand money, wouldn't you say it's important that you have to first believe that you can? Discovering the importance of your money mindset and how it's holding you back from having everything that you want is what we're here to talk about today. Sonny, you work with all kinds of women, particularly women in transition. How important is money mindset and what a person believes about money, what they've learned about money, and the abundance that they can have in their life, the amount of money they have right now, their ability to save, their understanding of finance and interest rates and and everything else. How important is money mindset when it comes to having the money that you want to follow your dreams and create wealth for yourself?
Wow, it is such a huge question where it makes me think that basically the money mindset is the foundation that we need to lay first before we can make any progress towards all those other things you're speaking about, savings, investing, and financial strategies. But we've got to have that foundation in place of having a mindset around money and an understanding of how we feel about money. So, like just understanding how when you're spending, what does it make you feel? Do you have particular habits? Where do they come from? What is the inner chatter from so many, like the inner chatter from your childhood, from your parents saying things? Every parent has a thing they said to you throughout your childhood, and it's in there somewhere resonating with what you're doing when you're swiping that credit card. So I think I call it the foundation.
And so yeah, you mentioned, it's in there. And our first greatest teachers in life are our parents or our
Mm.
guardians. And so for me, for me growing up, I heard money's the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. Um, men bring home the bacon. Women learn how to clean the house and take care of the kids. This is how I grew up. I mean, it took me 50 years to write my money story, realize what I was thinking about money and the impact that it was having on my life and my spending habits and my lack of a budget and lack of understanding. And then that's when I finally dove in. And what I want for everyone listening here today is the sooner you can learn and understand what's floating around in there and what you really believe, the sooner you can, you know, speak with someone like you, talk to a money expert, figure things out, and change it all, really. So when you're working with people and you're what would you say is one of the big money blocks for most of the people that you're working with? Like if you had to pick one or two or three, what would a big kind of limiting belief money block be? And
Mhm.
then how can people begin to make that change and really change their life?
Oh, I love the money doesn't grow on trees. I heard that my whole childhood. I actually said it last night to my husband, and we laughed and laughed because it's what we heard both of our childhoods. And
Yeah.
and I remember when your parents would say that to you. Oh yeah, and it was and that comes from a place of lack. When you say, and pardon my cat in the background. So that thought, that's that sense of lack. We're lacking, we don't have. But so when you're talking about these top things that are, what I see, shame is huge with money. We are all taught to feel shame and guilt regardless of how you're doing. I have done plans for people who are doing very well or very well considering their circumstances, but they've never been able to feel that way because no one's ever made them feel that way. Our belief systems has trained us to scrimp and scrape, and those are the people who we covet. We covet those who penny pinch, who coupon clip, who budget and track every dollar that's going out. That is a good person who's going to be successful. And then those who are out there, living a little more lavish, you're like, oh, the money doesn't grow on trees. How are they getting away with this? And you should feel guilty for spending and doing these things. So this sense of lack, huge shame, and guilt. I think those are the top things I see when it comes to focusing on with the money and the mindset.
Hmm. So how do we change that? So first, recognizing it. When you meet with someone who you can see, I'm sure you've met with someone where you can see that, like you said, they're doing okay. But they have this sense of shame and guilt around spending a couple $100s on a pair of boots that they want this fall. And uh, what are what do you say to them? And then what can they do to to make this shift
Mhm,
to just be who they are and what they believe
mhm.
for themselves is
Uh,
what yeah.
I guess there's a couple of things there. One, you need to recognize that you like buying boots. It's okay. Everyone has a thing. And just
Mm,
be okay with your thing and be communicated. So when I do some extreme budgeting where I look at historical spending, because that is indicative of future spending, we look back and I'm like, listen, you really like this salon you go to? She's like, yeah, look at my nails. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. But you didn't put a nail budget in because it's like you feel bad about it. Stop feeling bad. This is how much I want each month to buy the boots, get my nails done. Communicate it. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't feel guilty about it and be open
mhm,
about it. Put it in the plan, include it. And I feel like so many times when I'm speaking to my clients, I'm giving them permission and that they don't feel they have ever been given permission to go do something like that. It could be something big, it could be something small, but I've noticed one thing common denominator is that we all have a thing,
mm,
but so many people don't feel like they're allowed to and don't feel like they can bring it to the table when we talk about finances, because I'm going to black and white your finances. This is right, this is wrong. And absolutely not. Financial planning is what I call gray, because you are not my other client. My other client is not my other client. So we find your gray space and let's just include it in the plan. Let's work around it. And the other thing that does help is I do an analogy to kind of wrap your head around what I'm trying to say about this permission. Is I consider when people look at their finances, it's like looking at your healthy lifestyle goals. I want to live a healthy lifestyle. Well, I'm going to run every day and I'm going to only eat salad. That seems a bit aggressive. Is that sustainable to you? Well, I don't have time to run every day. I have 1,000 things to do and I'm really sick of salad. Of course you are. So just put in your healthy lifestyle, making healthy choices every day, and have the cake when you want to have the cake. Don't eat the cake every day. Just make sure you include it in the plan and you have permission to do these things, or you're going to come from a place of lack. You're going to be hungry, and that's just a crummy feeling. And then you're going to eat all the bad things and you're going to go bust. And I see that with finances. People go to this place of lack, stop doing all the things that I like because it's wrong. And then they go make a huge purchase and make a big mess. It's like, but if you maybe would have felt satisfied in the meantime, you wouldn't go out and do
Mm,
that.
mm, hmm
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, that makes sense. So so I'm terrified. I've never done my numbers. I make money, I spend a lot of time with the kids, driving them here and there. Uh, they mean everything to me. I make some more money, I spend some more money, and now all of a sudden I have to figure this out because I'm going to be on my own. I actually have to figure this out. So where do I start?
Yes, I meet a lot of these women, and um, I think what you said is the common denominator is I don't look at it. And I call that your head's in the sand. And you spoke of this earlier, that we grew up in a very stereotypical world where this is woman role, this is man role, meaning, and this still is so common. Man handles finances. Woman has head in sand, hope all is well. Um, could be, couldn't be. You don't know because you don't look.
Hmm
You just got to start by looking. Just look at what at everything that your name is signed on, and have an understanding of what is my name signed on. And I have these conversations all the time, be it with women who are, exiting a marriage, or the widows. They are just uh, thrown in trial by fire of having to have complete understanding. So oftentimes that's sometimes where I will come in and sit with them and say, okay, let me help you. Let me simplify this and help kind of draw like pretty little maps, and speak about the transactions and speak about what was happening, go forward. But the bottom line is looking, just look at it.
And step by step by step, figure things out. And that's something that with you work with her on that. You take her through the process to, you know, figure out what are my tax numbers, you know, what's in the bank accounts, where is my name, what loan is it on, is it on the car loan, is it on the house title,
Mhm.
is it is it on any investments? So this is like overwhelming for
Mhm.
people. They, and when something's overwhelming, uh, what you fight, flight, or freeze, right? And when it comes to money, the sooner that you can, like you mentioned, learn, take it one step at a time, get the information, get the knowledge, find the person to work with. That's you. And then
Mhm.
find the person to work with, and one step at a time. So she comes in, she she it's embarrassing. You don't know anything. And
Mhm.
it's embarrassing to be 40 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old, and to say, geez, I don't know anything about it. And maybe that's some of the shame that women feel, is that they feel it's embarrassing. So I don't think we should be embarrassed about this. Money needs to be a conversation that we have a lot around the table. And hey, no problem.
Mhm.
Until now, I didn't know anything, but now I'm on this train. I'm going to learn. So when someone's sitting there and they're feeling like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. I've never looked at the numbers. I don't even know the financial words to say. I don't know what to ask.
Mhm.
And then we'll go back to the mindset, and what would be the right money mindset that someone needs to have to go get it, to learn, because we can all learn. We are all smart enough to figure this out.
And this is where that shame comes in.
Hmm.
Where we were tied up with money. You feel ashamed that you never looked. So, like when I say just look, I actually say, um, just look and don't make. I'm not asking you to make changes. Keep doing what you're doing because you're in a transition. So this transition has 1,000 other emotions wrapped up in it than just money. And the last thing you need during those delicate first few months is to be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to become a smart money person and do all that
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
addition to trying to manage all my other perhaps legal or your kids or just trying to create a safe space for your family. So I think it's just looking at it, but then don't make any changes. Don't rush into those changes. Give yourself some forgiveness. Give yourself some time to space to breathe. You can't do all kinds of damage in a few months. Kind of just try to keep things as even keel as you can while all the other stuff behind the scenes is getting sorted out. But just look. That's all. Understand what you have. And if that means journaling, a lot of women like to journal.
Hmm.
They're going through and they're just kind of writing down perhaps conversations they've had with an ex-spouse or negotiations they're considering, um, writing down bank balances, just journaling it, just some facts, some notes, and start there and raising a little bit of awareness in those months.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Why are we so hard on ourselves and uh, so judgmental? I mean, if we treated anyone else the way we treat ourselves in our own mind, well, we wouldn't have any friends. You know, you know. I mean, so
So mean.
so so we're so mean, and so you know, this money stuff is all figure outable, but it's why is it so? Well, you touched on uh, it's 2023, and still often men are looking after the money and women are looking after the kids.
Mhm.
So it's changed a little over the years, for sure, ebb and flow, but it's still very common that money is a man conversation and children are a woman conversation.
Mhm.
So and children are great, but why? What's holding us back? What's holding you back? The all of you listening, what's holding us back from uh, understanding this and then having some fun with it as well? It's a game.
It's an incredibly powerful tool, money, and if you use it properly, it's fun. It's great. Use so many ways. I do believe, as a society as a whole, it's just all those like microaggression kind of things that come in there, where, for example, we'll be at just lay an example. My husband and I will be at a party, and someone will come up and ask my husband questions about finances. Now, he works for the bank, but he doesn't work on a personal level. He's on a corporate level. And I'm looking at this person like, I'm the financial planner in the relationship on this micro level of your family, but they'll default to ask him about money. I'm standing right here. And I just think these are the things that we're working on. We've got a long way to go. It's something that is still kicking around, and we default to the man. Now, on the flip side of the coin, there are a lot of women who do handle the money in the house, and they worry. There's so much worry behind it. There's a lot of tears when I talk to them about their money in their household. They feel like they're not doing a good job. They hate that they shoulder the whole household. They wish their husband would participate more. And I think that's where you say we're so hard on ourselves. We beat ourselves up. And women, will tend to default to that, just feeling like they're not doing a good enough job for their family. And these husbands don't want to participate. They're like, oh, she's got this. I'm not going to bother. And I do see that it's really tough. I think it needs to just be a team. When you're running a household together, that is all encompassing. That is the child rearing, that is the kin keeping, and that is your overall financial goals are the same. You both want to retire. You both want to own your home. You both want to travel. Your goals are together. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were saying that, they had a client and he was an entrepreneur, and he never showed his wife his financials. And he never showed his business coach his financials. And he just kept them tight, and he was real grumpy about them. But finally, he disclosed them, and they're great. But he says it totally changed his marriage, because in a good way, in a positive way, he felt like his wife was even more a partner than ever in his life, because they could talk about absolutely everything, and there wasn't a secret.
And it's great to have someone in your life that you can share that part of your life with. Yeah, for sure. Now, if you're transitioning and going to be doing this all on your own, then wouldn't you say that you need to find a partner to do this with? Find a money expert, find a financial planner, a teammate. We can't know everything. We all have expertise in something, and it might not be money. So if your mindset right now is worry or fear, you're just like scared or overwhelmed or lack, what would be a few first steps? You mentioned journaling. So journaling just for a month or two, what you're doing, just keep doing what you're doing and mark it down. That could be a good first step. What are a couple other practical things that a person could do who's not so great at their money, but it is we need it. You need to manage it. We need everybody needs money to live. And what would be a first few practical steps that somebody could take right now?
Um, I think having an understanding of your limitations. So if you're just looking at all this money in your head, it's making, if you break down and cry looking at all the money and you've tried and tried and tried, saying hiring the right professionals 100%. Even when I put a plan together, I've got all kinds of professionals in my pocket for wherever I see a gap. And if you have a gap, just say, okay, I can't do this. I need a professional to do this for me, regardless of what it is. It could be a coach to help you in whatever aspects. Like I have a business coach because I run a business, but I don't know. I know financial planning.
Mm, mm-hmm,
My I hire out a professional because there's a gap there. So if you're doing the journaling and it is just not getting demystified for you and the understanding is really very difficult and overwhelming, say, okay, this is a gap. That's okay. There are people out there who can help me. Yeah, like myself, as an advice only financial planner, I can sit down with you in whatever capacity you need and just help with that. Or like say, like if they need help with mindset things, going for coaching and things like that to help move forward with their mindset as well. Just get the guidance from the professionals.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I agree. And how important do you think a victim mentality versus an owner mentality is? So I can't do this. I I've never done it. This is impossible. Um, I'm just gonna throw it over to my dad. He can handle it. My brother said he'd take care of it, or my spouse, who I'm soon to be my ex-spouse, said he'd manage things for me. Um, versus an owner mentality where you might be thinking, I'm going to learn. I'm going to find that person to help me. I'm going to read. I'm going to understand. I'm going to journal. I'm going to take action to figure out what I need to do to get my money stuff in order. So when you're working with different people, do you see a lot of victim mentality? And it's not a judgment. It's not it comes from a life lived a certain way, and then you there's a transition and there's a change, and then that change throws you for a loop, and then you fall into a victim mentality because you just don't know what else to do. Is that something that you that you've experienced in working with different women, different men?
Hmm. I guess the sometimes you see it and they don't see it. So that's where it gets super delicate is
Mhm,
do they know they're in this mental state? Do they
mhm,
realize where they're coming from? Oftentimes they don't. So again, being like the financial planner and not a therapist, it's
mhm,
a fine line sometimes
mhm,
because the behavioral finance is becoming quite big. Um, I do a practice where I've learned I cannot ambush someone in a victim mentality with
mhm,
this is what you need to do because they are going to curl up in their shell and feel like I attacked them
mhm.
and was just telling them everything they've done wrong. And I learned this because I did it once and I watched the person retreat into a shell. Oh no. I thought I tried tough love. That was not the right way to go. That was years ago. I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
I'll consider things that I think will help them. And instead of saying, you need to do this, in one of our introductory, very casual chats, it'll be more like, have you considered something like this? Okay, I'm going to
Mhm.
get you to think about this. So when we do work on your plan, kind of warm up to the idea. Maybe here, I can send you some information on it or read up on it on your own because I make recommendations. You don't have to take my recommendation.
Mhm.
So I may go this route after I deep dive into everything. But like things that pop in my head, I have to warm them up to ideas. You cannot ambush them. You can't. It just does not go well. And then, yes, you get the ones who are so excited to dive in and want to. They just can't get. They're just sucking me for information and recommendations, and they can't get at it fast enough. And they're keeners, and they're super awesome to work with. And I'm always like, oh, you actually did everything I asked you to. Wow. So
Amazing.
amazing. That's kind of rare. That's a little
Mhm.
bit rare. And that's what leads me to this whole like behavioral finance. I've got a course next week on it. I'm super interested in it because there are very few people out there with a healthy money relationship. Very few.
Wow. So you're listening to this. There are very few people out there with a healthy money relationship.
Mhm.
You're not alone. You're not alone. So, how can I tell if I have a victim mentality and an unhealthy relationship with money?
Some of the indicators I would see, and again, not formally diagnosing anything, but just
Yeah.
something that I will see are when um, outside sources are all to blame for your cash flow. If
Mhm.
you're going to
Mhm.
blame the government, if you're going to blame your employer, if you're going to blame inflation, on an ongoing basis. Yeah,
Mhm.
inflation is coming right now.
Mhm.
Ooh. But if you've been doing it for years and years and years, it's not changing.
Mhm.
That means you're not willing to change and you're not willing to improve. So when you're outsourcing all your cash flow issues, that is a mindset issue. That is a not a it's a tough place to be. Yeah.
So, blame. And that's interesting that you say that. I I can almost when you said it, I can almost remember, you know, where I was sitting when I realized that I had to take 100% responsibility for everything that has happened in my money world to date and going forward. 100% responsibility. And you know what? It sounds crazy because you think, uh, that's not fun. That's a bummer. Oh, rats, I did that.
It's
But
ugly.
at the
Hmm.
same time, so freeing because if I'm 100% responsibility for all the problems I've created, I'm also 100% responsible for everything great that's coming my way. It's a conundrum, it's a dichotomy, it's really something that you have to feel for yourself, and when you do, it's it's it takes you to that owner mindset, which is a great place to be because you're the problem and you're the solution.
Hmm.
You are. So you decide, no more blaming. You can do it. and that's why Sunny and I are here today, just to let you know, and to kind of tie things together, and understand the importance of I can do it mindset when it comes to money, and finding the right person to work with for all the questions that you have. And you should have a million. I mean, if you're not a financial planner, how can you not have a whole bunch of questions about this stuff? But you can figure it out. So it's been a cool ride for me, and I'm really excited to be putting information out there like this with Sunny. Sunny, I think you're excited about it too.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah, because we just want to help you in every way. We're going to talk about all kinds of things week after week after week, but it's got to start with the I can mindset, the I've got this, the I am the problem, I am the solution, and money is a resource, and there's lots of it out there. So, um, Sunny, if you had to give our audience three kind of takeaways, uh, three three or four things to do right now, you know, just really, really real. This is what you got to do. What would you suggest um, when you're beginning this journey, or kind of near the beginning of this money journey?
Um, don't be so hard on yourself. It's likely not as bad as you think it is. You've made it worse than it is in your own head. Um, know your thing. Go about your daily life and be like, what is my thing that I like? And accept it. And I do want you to look at it, I call it look it in the eye. Just don't ignore it. Get your head out of the sand and look it all in the eye, and it's okay.
Our mindset is a choice. If you want to learn more, check out this video. I will show you how to step into an owner mindset without feeling bad about anything that you have said or done in the past.